This is a recording about my most recent knee replacement surgery. You can see that I'm in the hospital laid up, but I was out in one day. I was up on my walker the first day, moving as best I could. You can see that my knee is not really swollen yet because I just came out of surgery, but I took my wrap off and I could still see the definition in my leg. But the next day it did swell up. I did rest. I tried to read but wouldn't be comfortable. This was my lifesaver, this ice machine. It was called the NICE machine. But resting and elevation was the thing that I did the most. And then I would get in my walker and walk as best as I could. This was when the first time I took the walker down the street. I went down the steps.
Say hi, baby.
This is day 2.
Okay. One day at a time.
I'm out and moving around. You got to get up and get moving. It's a slow process at times.
Good job, honey.
But I was fortunate to be able to push through.
Okay.
I'm dragging the leg now that I look at this.
Thanks, honey. Got you go back to nursing school?
I couldn't bend it. I had very little motion. Without Tammy, I wouldn't be able to put my shoes on. This is my first physical therapy session where she pulled off my big gauze bandage, for lack of a better term. But once I got moving a little bit, I was able to walk further down the street. I had some aches and pains, but I had to force my knee to be bent. This stretch machine forced me to move my knee and bend my knee. It could be painful at times. They did end up installing one of these in my house. That way I'd have one. They just took it away the other day. I had it for 30 days. At this point, I could barely get my heel off the ground.
So we're going to top out at 5,
And
but
this one kind of worried me a little bit because I was like, okay, this is going to be a long road. But I just kept pushing. It's another physical therapy session. She's measuring my range of motion at this time. My goal was to get to 90 degrees within the first 14 days. You can see I could get my heel off the ground right there. I'm slowly starting to get my quad. Then I got rid of my walker, which was a big deal. 2 weeks later, I got the cane, and the cane really helped out. It was cool to have the cane for a little bit, and I had the cane for probably 3 weeks. And it was good to get this other little gauze off here and get this cleaned up. So my stitches healed up really well. I was able to just wash them and keep some Aquaphor on them to prevent the scarring, and then this scar tissue, she's massaging out the scar tissue to keep me from having a major scar that where I would have scar tissue and it'd be keloiding up. Here I'm trying to move my hips. It's very hard to put the pressure on my knee at this point. Tightening up my glutes also, because I lost complete control of my left leg. Here I'm trying to get my hips to fire with the rubber band, stretching. This was pretty tough. I was actually a little sore the next day, surprisingly.
this one's going to be every other day.
But I started doing this for quite a while, almost every other day to strengthen my hips.
You can work up to 3 sets on this one too. That's fine. I'm going to put all this info on a printout for you so you don't have to memorize it, but this is nice. You don't have to read it. So,
And I had to do them on both sides. Even the leg that was good and the hip that was good, I still had to do it on that side.
Again, it's kind of a good check for you.
This next exercise, this little bridge exercise right here, holding that leg up, took some work, to stretch out my leg. Remember, I could barely get that heel off the ground, and then I had to elevate the leg, and now I'm elevating my good leg, but I'm bridging with the with my new knee. You can see how swollen I am at this time.
I just feel the pressure. I feel it stretching. It's kind of like when I'm on the machine.
But I'm still making progress. At this time, I'm going to physical therapy on Tuesdays and Thursdays, so I'm getting a lot of therapy in, and then when I'm not in therapy, I'm working on everything from going up the steps, going down the steps, walking around the block. Those are little things that I did. I'd walk around the city block. I'd go upstairs sideways so that when I got to physical therapy, I could see that I made some improvements and that my therapist could see that I was working to try to make the improvements. At first, everything's hard. This step was very, very hard, very, very challenging, but it also sparked something in me and kind of woke up my muscle a little bit, just enough for me to keep going. I did go to the Y, and this was very hard. The first time I tried to pedal a bike, this is on no level, and this I went for 1 minute barely. The next week I was able to get back and get up the stairs with no problem. In the end, my thigh is still struggled to fire, but I still made improvements. Here I'm getting some stimulus and trying to get this leg to fire. This actually worked well because I could start feeling my thigh fire off like it was supposed to. And then, so now I'm at week 7 at this point, headed into week 8. I'm doing squats, or seated squats. And now I just finished up my last therapy session and I'm good. It takes a lot of work.